Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for January 7th, 2026. Thank you for joining me. We have a long way to go to spring training, but we don't have a long way to go to spring training. I was actually looking through some of my Skraby Show notes from last year around this time, and a lot of it was complaining about the fact that they didn't have their roster filled out. So I said it last night. I'm not going to complain about the roster anymore. I'm going to wait and see what happens. But, there's a certain point where you draw the line at worry. And I'm not going to worry until about halfway through spring training. But the Padres, they have an interesting spot that they're in, because I wanted to tie it up like this. The Padres, according to the San Diego Union Tribune and the Padres and everyone, they sold out season ticket memberships for the fourth straight year. The team announced today they have capped season ticket sales each of the last 3 seasons, with the number of season ticket memberships sold for 2026 setting a new franchise record. Now, here's where it makes me think everything is going to be okay. Because if you are indeed selling season tickets and selling out season tickets year after year after year, you can only make more money if you keep the team good. So there, in my mind, it doesn't make any sense for the Padres to raise the ticket prices in order to produce an inferior team. The only way they're selling out these season tickets are if they are good. I don't think that I don't really think that people, I definitely know, I know people don't want to go back to the dark Padres ages. But I get a lot of complaints about the raise in ticket prices, and let me tell you, I don't like when things are the price of things are raised throughout the years. I even said I think that the people I really feel bad for are the ones with season tickets that have had them for a long time, and they went through all the bad years. I think there should be some sort of grandfathered in rate, and maybe there is, but I haven't looked at it. Or I haven't looked at it, but I think that if they want to keep selling out, they have to produce a team that wins. That is how it's going to work. So when I see that season tickets are sold out, number one, that tells me a lot of people are very excited about the season ahead. And a lot of it also tells me that the Padres are doing good business right now, because things are going their way. And with a potential sale, you want your team to be good so that it's more attractive for potential buyers. That's what I mean. It makes sense in my head. I don't know if it makes sense in anybody else's head, but there's no way I think they continue to sell out season tickets year over year over year if they don't produce a team that's going to win games. And the Padres over the last 5-6 years, they have won games. I mean, obviously there were some years that they weren't great. 2023 comes to mind, but I really do think this tells me something. It might tell me more about the fans than the team, but if I'm Eric Grupner and co, I'm thinking we can keep doing this every year as long as we keep the roster producing winners. So when I get messages about, hey, what do you think about season tickets being sold out? That's what I think, is that it's better business to have a good team than it is to have a bad team. So if you want to keep selling out tickets, you're going to have to put your best foot forward. And that's why I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried. They can continue to build on this team. Rick says, got to give AJ his due respect. He'll figure out the rotation. Callie says, why wouldn't they sell out season tickets? Look where we live. Look where we play. I understand it. But I still don't think if this team was a 72 and, was it 72 and 90? If it's 72 and 90, I don't think they're selling those season tickets out. Yes, it's a nice place to watch baseball, but ultimately all we really care about here in San Diego is winning when it comes to the Padres. That's all we care about. So I'm not angry about the season ticket price increase because I know that's how this works. I do feel bad for the people who have been going to games for a long time and have sat through all those bad years, because here's where everybody who's listened for a little bit knows that I don't like big business, and I don't like when decisions are made just to make money. But it could be a situation like this where the team completely turns their back on their fan base, which the Padres have not done that at all. But when my grandpa, he had season tickets for the 49ers, which is why I'm such a big fan, for the 49ers since the 80s until they moved to their new stadium. And they were pretty good seats. They're in the corner of an end zone with a view, so you could see the entire field. They were really good seats. He had those tickets for over 20 years. And when they moved, the 49ers, when they moved to Santa Clara, they decided that my grandpa's 4 tickets that he had, they were going to charge $15,000 per seat for a personal seat license. So he was going to have to pay $60,000 just for the right to buy tickets. That's where I think things go wrong. When you are completely shutting people out like that. Like, that is ridiculous. I do think that sports teams have to treat their fans that have been there a long time a little bit better. But to just kind of, this is where I don't like everything, is when you turn your back on the people who helped you get there. That is what makes me most angry. And so I bring up the 49ers to say, Padres aren't doing that. So we're in a better situation here than my grandpa was with the 49ers. It was a hard decision for him. He had season tickets since the 80s. He saw Joe Montana, Jerry Rice with those season tickets. And they moved to a new stadium and all of a sudden he's not good enough for them? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So the Padres aren't doing that to the fans here, which is a great thing, obviously. It's a great thing. The weighted average increase of tickets, 7% more than last season. And yes, they have raised season tickets for a 5th straight year. But if we want to win, they're going to have to raise ticket prices a little bit. Now, I don't want to see anything crazy. Believe me, I am not someone who is made of money. I am not someone who can spend $150, $175 on a Padres ticket, multiple times a year. So I want to make sure that they help the fans that got them to this point. And I've heard from a lot of fans saying that they love the Padres organization, and they have been part of the Padres organization for a long time, and they're willing to pay those prices because they know that they're going to see good baseball if they pay those prices. I see on the chat a couple, let's see. Jack says 75% of people at Pods games nowadays couldn't care less if they win. I do, at the game, I do kind of understand. But I do think that the party that is Petco Park during a baseball season, every single visiting team that comes in here and leaves says, wow, that was a great environment. It's a Tuesday in June, and this place was rocking. They love it. So that's why if they don't win, that party goes away, and they want to keep that party. They want to keep it. But I do agree that some people nowadays go to the games just just as a socialization thing, which I don't disagree with. I mean, I think it's great. Socialization. Trevor says, party at the park. Cole says, Skraby, thank you for having this show. Perfect way to unwind after bad days on the job. I'm sorry you had a bad day, Cole. Go back and look at my ghost pepper challenge from 2:20 p.m. It wasn't my challenge. It was actually Adam's challenge. I ended up getting myself involved with it. Somehow, just sitting here. And then boom, I get involved in that. So I didn't actually expect to come on and go that deep into the ticket prices and all that. But when I started reading and when I started thinking, that's what it tells me. That's what it tells me, is that they are going to try and keep competing. Let's see. Prolific sent me something. Let me look at this in the break, and then we'll talk about it. But I'm trying to think if I should go to break or not, or if I should just start a new story. No, I'm gonna go to break, and then when we get back, we're gonna talk about AJ Cassavell. We're gonna talk about him on the show earlier. The guys asked some questions about the Padres roster, so we'll get an expert in AJ Cassavell from MLB.com to come on or to answer some questions for us. And that's on the other side on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. Back here, Odyssey Palace, 97.3 The Fan. Sorry to everybody on the YouTube chat. If you saw the creepy picture that I put up, I just haven't deleted from like the longest time ago. I talked about this. There was a guy who was caught on a Ring camera in like a really scary mask, and I accidentally put that up on the screen. So I'm sorry to everybody who I scared with that. Matt Skraby, as I said, Skraby Show. And as I said, 97.3 The Fan. If you want to watch the show, you can go on Facebook, search 97.3 The Fan. You can go to my YouTube at The Skraby Show. You can go to 97.3 The Fan's YouTube, just typing in 97.3 The Fan. We have a Twitch stream, 97.3 The Fan, and X, 97.3 The Fan SD. Also, Odyssey, the Odyssey app. Go to the Odyssey app, typing when it's Gwen and Chris time, type in Gwen and Chris, type in 97.3 The Fan, type in The Skraby Show, and you'll be able to find everything from our station. You can find podcasts and things like that. You could also, when you're at my YouTube, please subscribe. I'm supposed to say that because that's what they tell me, but I never say it because I forget. So if you go to my YouTube, at The Skraby Show, SKRAB as in boy, Y, then please subscribe. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios because we know how. All right, AJ Cassavell. Actually, I wanted to bring this up real quick, and then we'll get to AJ Cassavell because I have 3 clips for you from AJ Cassavell. Here is a tweet from Pete Thamel because Ty Simpson has declared for the NFL draft, and I guess his father, UT Martin football coach Jason Simpson, called a bunch of, or someone called a bunch of NFL general managers, because when I saw this story, I was like, what? Why would he declare for the draft? Like, I don't see him being an NFL quarterback with what I watched this year. I mean, at certain points he was pretty good, but in the biggest games, I don't think he played that well. Well, they said that every general manager that they contacted gave him a first round grade. So he's going in the first round according to NFL general managers. Nobody said second round. Tell this to Shedeur Sanders because that is what happened. He sat around forever. I mean, this could be, it could be good for him, I guess. It's a weak quarterback draft, so I can understand why you might want to take advantage of that because teams might draft you higher because they need a quarterback, but I don't quite get that one. I don't quite get it. I would stay a little bit longer in school. Look at Arch Manning. Arch Manning made the right choice. He's going back to school for another year of college football. I'm weird today. All right, AJ Cassavell, MLB.com. He wrote an article. You can go to Padres.com and see it. It's about what is left to be done for AJ Preller. But let's start with this. AJ Preller does not have a new contract or a contract extension yet. This is something we have been following here on the station. This is something all Padres fans have been following. But Tony asked AJ Cassavell, when he thinks we should get a little nervous about AJ not having an extension.
I still think that this becomes a story, like a real storyline worth monitoring once we get to the season.
Okay.
If AJ Preller is not extended by the time the season starts, then it's officially a lame duck season for him, and it's
season or spring training. Are we defining it?
I think the season, because this is also the type of thing that I think you'll see sometimes happen just before the season. I don't know the specifics of, like, when we've talked to AJ about it, which we did after the Michael King contract, he kind of downplayed it and said he's busy, he's doing his own job, doing his own things, and he doesn't seem too worried about it. And obviously, ownership put out their statement to the Union Tribune last month saying they expect it to get done. Spring training is kind of right down the road. I think 5 weeks away from yesterday is when pitchers and catchers will report. But I think when we get to the season, or maybe breaking camp in Peoria, that's when it becomes like, uh-oh, what's happening here? But until then, I still think there's time for this thing to get done. And it's not, I'm not calling it a lame duck year yet, because it's not, we haven't gotten to that part of the calendar.
AJ, looking at it with the glass half full right there. And he's probably right. I mean, AJ Preller is not going to be, doing his job any worse because he doesn't have a contract extension. That's just not what's going to happen. But I guess I can wait until the season to see. And really, does a lame duck year for AJ Preller, like, what does that do? Like, if they don't have a contract in place by the beginning of the season, then how does he go forward running the team? Because is he going to make a bunch of trades because this is his last hurrah and he's going all in and then gutting the team? Or does he take a different approach? I do think that's important. I do think in terms of the future of the roster, and I'm not talking about this year, I'm talking about, 5 years from now, for 3, 4, or 5 years from now. How are they going to, how is AJ going to handle that? Because obviously no GM knows when they're going to get fired. And I'm not saying AJ is going to get fired, but no GM knows when their job is going to be up. So they run the team like they are going to be with the team for a long time. And AJ Preller is going to do the same thing. But does it change it a little bit if we get to the season and he doesn't have a contract? I don't think so, because of who AJ Preller is, but it's interesting to think about a little bit. Like, does he make moves because he doesn't think he's going to be back? And I'm saying he's going to make good moves, but does he make moves with the future in mind? Those are some of the things that we're going to have to wait and see what happens before we get all up in arms over everything. Jack says, I can't GM on a 1-year contract. Sure you can. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but if anyone is going to be able to pull it off, it's AJ Preller. I believe that. Now, AJ Casavell was also asked, and yesterday there was a question on the chat of who would you take free agent-wise between a bat and an arm if you could choose one of each. Well, Tony asked AJ Casavell, if you could choose one, a bat or an arm to bring in through free agency, which would you choose?
So they're going to add both, but if they're going to splurge on one, if they're going to pay for one, if they're going to go out, I think I would say offense.
Yeah.
Just because, they have a track record of being able to find pitchers and making them into guys who work at the back of the rotation.
Yeah.
They did it last year. Randy Vasquez was, I think, outstanding. I think they can find a guy like that and just slot him in and maximize him with what they get from Ruben Niebla, with what they get from their pitching group, with what they get from the ballpark effects. I think if they're gonna kind of spend, whether it's in free agency or whether it's trade capital in a deal, it would be for that one bat.
Yeah.
But again, I think there are resources enough to kind of spread it around, and they need both things. They're going to get both things. The question is, like, how much of what you have do you allocate to each one? And I'm with you. I think it's imperative that they get a bat, and probably a bat that has some power.
There you go. A bat. Because I do think that they have, good enough pitching. Not starting pitching. They still need that fifth starter, but their bullpen's good. Their bullpen's set for the most part. The rotation, the first four are pretty much set for the most part. So going after a bat is a smart idea. I thought Ryan O'Hearn was actually going to come back to the Padres. I didn't think that he was going to go anywhere else because there's a perfect spot for him open right there at first base. And there's a perfect spot for him in the lineup with his bat. Perfect spot, first base. He chose the Pirates, though. So I don't even really know what went into it with the Padres, whether or not they did offer him contracts and things like that. But that is going, because we saw this last year. We saw that when the Padres didn't have a DH that was a traditional DH, things were not as good for them at the plate. When you have, here I go, trashing Luis Ariz again. When you have Luis Ariz DHing, you're not getting the most out of it. So I do think that they need to bring in a big bat as a DH. I would like to have a DH on a team that is a DH and not something where, hey, we're going to give this guy a day off in the field, but we're going to still put him in the lineup. And so we're going to DH him. Like, if you have a real DH, an actual DH, that would allow you to give someone a full day of rest instead of having them be the DH on the day that they're off. Jack says, who you want at DH? That's a far out question. It's 2 days in a row I've said that. I don't know. You know what? That's my goal. I'm gonna go and look through everything and find an affordable DH because I think there's got to be one out there. There's got to be one out there. But I think AJ's right there with the bat. Now, Michael King was unexpected to come back to the Padres. It was unexpected. I did not expect it. I don't think anybody expected it. I know we're all very, very happy about it. But AJ Cassavell, we asked him, can we expect another big name? Because I don't know that I expect one, but does AJ Cassavell expect one?
I think that's the one big move in free agency the Padres would make. That doesn't mean they can't get another big name player. I know, like the AJ Preller in the past, like they look at the past few, I guess spring trainings or off seasons, like just before the season starts, he's gone out and gotten a starting pitcher. He got Dylan Cease, he got Nick Pivetta, he got Sean Manaea, like one after the other late in the spring. And I think two of those were via trade. And so there's still probably some wherewithal to get a bigger name via trade. Granted, the Padres system is a little bit more depleted than it has been in the past. But in terms of splurging in free agency on some of these bigger name guys, I think that seems unlikely. And it also, I don't know if it's necessarily what they need. I mean, their offense is relatively complete minus a first baseman, and the rotation, while like you absolutely would add a number one or number two starter if you could, I think if they add a couple more guys toward the back end, they can feel pretty comfortable with what they've got.
All right. Thank you, AJ Cassavell, for coming on the show today and giving us some information. If you want to hear the full interview, you can go to 973thefansd.com, go to the podcast section. You can also go to YouTube, 97.3 The Fan, or Gwen and Chris SD on YouTube, and you could find it. We did it about 40 minutes into the show. Right before the AJ interview is the ghost pepper eating challenge. So if you missed that, then you need to go back and watch it. I'm going to post it a little bit later. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. It's been a hectic day. Trevor says, Goldie, Paul Goldschmidt. I like Paul Goldschmidt. I don't know. Let me see. I don't know what he would command in the pay department. And I also don't know. Well, last year. All right. Last year, he had a better year than I thought. 1.2 WAR, 489 at bats, 274 batting average. Now, where his where he's not doing things that he used to do, his power was way down last year. He only had 10 home runs last year, and for 4 seasons before that, he had more than 20 home runs. So he's a home run guy, but he hasn't been hitting home runs. His OPS was a His OPS was 730, 731. 731. That's what it was. I'm seeing a lot of numbers. In 2022, he was very good. He hit 317, 981 OPS, 35 home runs, 115 RBIs. That's a great year. That is a really great year. But Goldschmidt, he's a veteran. I think he plays good enough defense. I think I'm good. I'm good with that if they decide to bring him in. Yeah. They just got my stamp of approval. So, AJ, bring in Paul Goldschmidt. See what happens. But now that I think about it, for the 1 second that I've thought about it, we've already kind of done this, haven't we? Is Paul Goldschmidt in the same realm as a Nelson Cruz or a Matt Carpenter? I don't know. Because I know I don't want that. Oh, wait. Who was it earlier this year? Oh, Yuli Gurriel was another one. Jason Hayward. Is he the same guy as those guys? Paul Goldschmidt? Is he Jason Hayward? Is he Yuli Gurriel? Is he Matt Carpenter? Is he Nelson Cruz? I think he's probably a little bit better, but I definitely don't want to be stuck in another situation like that because we all know it was very, very frustrating. Getting a Cody Bellinger from the chat. I mean, I wouldn't hate Cody Bellinger, but I just think he's going to be way too expensive. Way too expensive. Wow. Breaking news right now in the NBA. I know I don't talk about the NBA all that often, or if ever, but Shams Charania is tweeting that the Atlanta Hawks are trading four-time NBA All-Star Trae Young to the Wizards for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. There you go. Trae Young on the move. All right. We're going to go to break. When we get back, I'm going to try to explain this Las Vegas A's trademark thing. And then we still have the Daily Gripe. And then there's some really, really terrible news out about Rashee Rice. We'll get into that a little bit as well. Not a fan of, talking about these things, but they are important to talk about, so we will. And that's what you're going to get on the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan. Final segment here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan, broadcasting from the Bill Howe Palace, as we're calling it now. And you can follow me at The Skraby Show on YouTube, at Matt Skraby on Twitter and Instagram. Gwen and Chris also has an Instagram now. We put up shorts and stuff like that, some behind-the-scenes stuff. So that is Gwen and Chris. Now, we have this terrible Rashee Rice story that we'll talk about. But I said I would talk about this yesterday, and of course I pulled one of my normal things, and I forgot to talk about it, and I realized it on the way home, and I was like, you know what? You really need to start being better about that. So that's why I call myself out here in front of all of you. So I try to be better about that. But the A's are trying to trademark Las Vegas Athletics and Vegas Athletics. On December 29th, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office issued a second refusal of trademark applications to register Las Vegas Athletics and Vegas Athletics. Now, experts aren't saying that this is going to fully lock them out of this, but here's why they were declined. Trademark attorney Josh Gerben explained. I'm really trying to explain this as the easiest way possible. It determined the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office determined that Las Vegas Athletics is primarily a geographically descriptive term, meaning the name combines a well-known place name with a generic sports term. Granting exclusive rights to the phrase could prevent other legitimate athletic organizations in Las Vegas from using common language to describe their activities. So here's the example that they're saying. The USPTO is basically saying if we give the team unfettered rights, then any youth or amateur athletics association in Las Vegas could suddenly be in violation of the trademark. Now, because the name is athletics, you could go to like a Las Vegas website and like a local Las Vegas sporting goods store, and you could type in Las Vegas Athletics into Google, and a search term comes back for the sporting goods store, and now on their website it says Las Vegas Athletics. That could make them in that's why the term athletics is too general, because so many uses, you can use it for so many different things. And I guess MLB is the one who hires this trademark thing, but this whole move to Vegas has been a disaster and a mess and a lot of nightmare or headaches for pretty much the entire time, because then we didn't even know if they were going to get there. I remember they like did this whole cute little shovel thing, a ceremonial shovel, but in the end, they're going to say because they're not located in Las Vegas at the moment. In the end, once they move there, I bet you everything clears up. Because there's no such thing as a Las Vegas Athletics right now. So you can't trademark something that's not really right. Well, I guess you could. But the USPTO, Patent and Trademark Office, is saying, no, we don't want this to happen. I guess they could appeal to the Supreme Court, but I really do think we have better stuff to spend our time on than the athletics trademark, the Las Vegas Athletics trademark. All right. Still have the Daily Gripe. This Rashee Rice story is new. It came out at 5:30 today. And the Chiefs have released a statement saying the club is aware of the allegations on social media, is in communication with the National Football League. We have no further comment at this time. So the allegations come from Dakota Jones, who has 2 children with Rice, and said in an Instagram post on Wednesday that she had broken up with him 2 months ago. Among other things, she accuses him of putting hands on her, locking her outdoors in 10-degree weather, multiple instances of cheating, cutting up her shoes and clothes, and abandoning the family in Kansas while leaving for his native Texas. She also, from her post, she also posted pictures of injuries, bruises on her face, legs, shoulders, chest, damaged property around the home. She also, she implied, I guess, there's a legal agreement with Rice because of everything he puts her through, quote. But from her post, she said, I've known this man for years. He tries to put on this persona like he's dad of the year. He does the bare minimum, and I have to beg for that. I protected his image too long, and I'm done doing that. It's time to protect my peace, protect my children, and stand up for myself. Now, of course, this is not proven, and this is all just allegations. So I'm not going to say if he's guilty or not. I do think this is a problem for him because he has already been in trouble. If you remember, he was suspended for the first 6 games of this season because of a hit and run incident in April of 2024. He was in a Lamborghini in Dallas, and he was racing his friend in a Corvette, and 2 cars caused a major collision, and Rashee Rice and his friends ended up leaving the scene of the accident. Rice eventually agreed to plead guilty to 2 felony charges and was sentenced to 5 years of probation and 30 days in jail. Here's my question. And I'm not going to say this is a Chiefs problem, although the Chiefs have found themselves in problem. Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, now Rashee Rice. I mean, those are 3 names that you easily recognize as a problem or guys who have had issues in the past. Here's my thing, though. Why is the NFL not doing enough of a background check? These teams will turn over every single stone. Every single stone. But they look the other way. Like, I would think that they will go talk to, I know that they do this. They send investigators, teams and send investigators to go talk to friends, family members, people that know the person that they're thinking about drafting, and they get a kind of a feel for who that person is. I cannot think that when the Chiefs were doing this, they didn't uncover some of this, because if it's been going on for years, he's only been in the league. How long has he been in the league? He's been in the league. I'm going to click this real quick. Let's see. Gosh dang it. I can't even get his stats. Oh, there it is. He's been in the league for 3 seasons. First year was 2023. So they have done this stuff. Or they had time to investigate this stuff. And, throughout this entire process of him going through the court hearings and things like that for the hit and run, Chiefs players stood by him, and it angered someone who was in the accident, who they hit. Travis Kelce was one among the players to wear a free 4 shirt during warmups, while the wideout was serving his suspension. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes said a month after the crash that he was trying to mentor Rice into becoming the best person you could be in society, while head coach Andy Reid praised his growth in training camp in August. I don't believe it. I think NFL teams, I don't want to say the Chiefs because everybody knows I hate the Chiefs, so this is not a Chiefs thing. Just happens to play on that team, and there happens to be a lot of things from the past. But I if I'm an NFL team, these are the guys that we don't want in the NFL. I don't care how good you are at football. If you do bad things in your everyday life, you should suffer the fate of everyone who does bad things in everyday life. And that's get in trouble by the police or whatever it is. I wish, and it will never happen. It will never happen. Like, it's just never going to happen that a team looks at a guy and says, ooh, you're kind of shady. We don't want you in the NFL. But because he can play football, it's all good. That stuff really bothers me about professional sports. Really bothers me about professional sports. When you just look the other way all the time, no matter what someone does, you look the other way. And then certain times they're like, oh, this guy did something so bad, we're just going to drop him. But then you got Stephon Diggs in New England, who has a felony strangulation charge against him that happened earlier in December of last year. The NFL needs to take harder stances on this stuff. They do. I thought a 6-game suspension for Rashee Rice was actually a pretty fair suspension for what he did. And all of the things that I read about him after the hit and run accident were that he was trying to make this right. That he was trying to own up for his bad decisions. But I was also reading earlier today that a lawyer is saying that Rashee Rice has never paid the 1 point something million dollars that he owes them for the crash. I know that he's a good football player. I know that he will help a team win a Super Bowl. I don't care. I do not care. I do not need these guys I do not need these guys making millions of dollars and just being a bad contributor to society. This is not about Rashee Rice solely. This is about the entire NFL. But it doesn't seem to happen more and more because this stuff has happened, but it doesn't seem like the NFL is learning from their mistakes. Now, do I think that people should get second chances? As a recovering alcoholic, yes. I believe people should get second chances. Rashee Rice got a second chance after his hit and run, suspended 6 games. He got his second chance. So where do you go from here if you're the Chiefs? Now, if they investigate and this is all a big lie, then I will sit here and I will apologize to Rashee Rice for falling for the trap. But really, I don't think these things get made up as often as maybe certain people would like us to believe. Yeah, Henry Ruggs. Don't even get me started on Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs, Raiders wide receiver, a few years ago, was going like 150 on a Las Vegas side street. He was drunk. He killed a girl and her dog. And they're thinking about Nevada is thinking about letting him out at some point, and he's thinking about an NFL career. I don't know. I feel like I'm sorry. I know I'm getting really serious right now, but I feel like if you take someone's life, you should not be able to play in the NFL again. That's just my thoughts. But anyway, I would like for the NFL to do something about this. I would like for the NFL to start putting their foot down. I would like the NFL to start, being a good role model for society, but it's just not happening.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
How could I forget Antonio Brown as well? Antonio Brown is a couple weeks ago he was facing an attempted murder charge. I don't know where that went, but Wet Bandit Bates. Only way out is trading Tatis. Sad, but it's the truth. It's definitely not the truth. If the Padres, here's my daily gripe. I'm going to change everything about my daily gripe. My daily gripe is when people say to trade Tatis. Because it would weaken your team if you trade Tatis. It would weaken your overall team. You cannot replace a guy like Fernando Tatis Jr. And you're not going to trade him for prospects. You're going to have to trade him for good major league players. Fernando is not going to be traded. Now that I say that, I'm going to knock on wood. But I can't say he's not going to be traded, but I'm going to say I'm pretty sure he's not going to be traded. Maybe in years from now. But Fernando, I don't think he's going to be traded. They said, then who goes? I don't know anyone has to go, but I have seen a lot of Nick Pivetta, trade rumors. We've talked about those, but I don't think that is the answer either. Manny's definitely not getting traded. Xander's not getting traded. Now, you could trade Ramon Laureano. You could, I've said this before. I tend to like to keep things the way they are. Jake Cronenworth, maybe. But Fernando, I'm sorry. You can't trade that guy. You cannot trade him. I will be so sad if I ever see Fernando Tatis Jr. hitting home runs for another team. That would be very depressing for me. So, do they need to trade anyone? I don't think so. Is it going to happen? It could happen. I think it could happen, especially with AJ Preller, but I do not think Fernando's the guy that goes. All right, that's it for the Skraby Show. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow, Gwen and Chris, 2 p.m., and another Skraby Show at 6 p.m., 97.3 The Fan. Have a great night, everybody.
Hot takes, honest opinions, real San Diego sports talk. You'll get all that and more right here on the Braden Soprennett Show. I'm not holding back. It's the Braden Soprennett Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costa is here to help you beat the books with Westwood One Sports. Coming up Sunday night in the Pro Football Playoffs, New England, a 3.5-point home favorite against Los Angeles. Total of the game is 46. And LA's offensive line is in total disarray. but New England's defense is not great, and I think LA can score enough to keep this game inside the number or maybe win it outright. Give me LA plus the 3.5. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetMGM app today.
You know the rush when you reach that goal, when something you've worked